Hello, friends. You're welcome to another session with Justus Nugget. You know, um, no, I want to thank God for another week. We will not ignore the fact that as humans, God has blessed us with the ability to recognize time, to be able to understand time in a way, because like you would read from the Genesis account, God gave the idea of the stars and light that we would use them to measure the days, that the stars would be signs for the days. We would use them to 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 understand how time really goes, that man would actually have in him the ability to understand time, because time would come with its seasons and what should be done in time. So every time has got the allocation of activities or what man is supposed to do with time. So, by the grace of God, we are observing this topic I call the Counsel of the Sons of Issachar. The Counsel of the Sons of Issachar. Has man ever encountered or ever succeeded in doing anything in life without recognizing wise people, recognizing the instructions of the wise people? We need to come to that point in life where we recognize people God has provided to us who are wise, who are wise. And as our mantra in the replica church, we keep reminding you that because you matter to God, we all matter to God. And because you matter to God, I want to bring to our understanding this issue about why we need counsels. We all need counsels. There's nobody in life who um, would say he does not need wisdom from people. Hallelujah. And this, I came across this understanding while reading Daniel chapter 9. Daniel chapter 9 from verse 2. When you read Daniel chapter 9 from verse 2, you see the Bible tells us that Daniel understood by reading the writings of the prophet Jeremiah. He understood that the end of the desolation of Jerusalem has come because he read. And from that understanding, Daniel was able to know what to do. Now, you'll be wondering why I chose the counsel of the sons of Issachar, because the Bible tells us that the sons of Issachar who understood their time, who knew what Israel was supposed to do. Do you want to know what you're supposed to do? Do you want to know what actions you're supposed to take in a time as this? In an age where there's so much confusion, in an age where it seems as if you don't know what you're supposed to do, in an age where you're so blank, when you're so blind, most especially in Africa, that it seems we're so blind. Everyone is so blinded by abject poverty that we do not know what to do. It's always like the people who know what they're supposed to do are always the leaders, the political leaders, those who are championing the agents of control, who are championing the resources that most economy would need to thrive with. So in an African context, we are all locked up in abject poverty because we are blinded. What are we supposed to do? You want to also observe this very significant point, that in this particular context where we find Daniel taking action, you want to see that Daniel, by the grace of God, Daniel wasn't just a man who, sorry, let me shift this so that I'll be able to. All right. Daniel will come to see that he isn't just a man who was already in pleasure, in comfort, because as you would see, Daniel had everything working for him. He was in slavery, but it was at this point was not a slave per se, because already he has been ushered into the palace of the king. He has been ushered into the administration of the king. You will see that in the reign of Daniel was picked amongst these three people who were to champion the 120 administrators of the kingdom of Babylon. Remember that the kingdom of Babylon wasn't just a kingdom. The kingdom of Babylon was an empire ruling over the nations of the earth, the 10 nations of the world. And Daniel finds himself amongst the privileged few. And you will see that among this privileged few, Daniel did not just allow the pleasure and the comfort of Babylon to blindfold or to blindside him from seeing the poverty and captivity of his people. So one who is responsible to the administration of the Babylonian empire could also take time to observe that his people were in captivity and to observe that the people need their salvation, and could not come to this point aside from coming into the counsel of the prophet Jeremiah. Though by this time Jeremiah was already dead, Jeremiah was not alive, but Daniel was able to understand the counsel of the prophet Jeremiah because he opened up himself to research. Daniel opened himself to study. And the Bible tells us that Daniel studied. No age can run away from the wise men of our time. No age can run away from the materials already in their libraries, because we have already libraries, both animate and inanimate libraries. We have books in our shelves. We have books in our big libraries all over scattered in the world. Libraries in Amazon, libraries in Google search engines, libraries you can access. Because you see, for a time like this in Africa, we need to expand our skill set. We need to expand, I'll say again, our skill set. Our skill set needs to be expanded so much. We need so much to begin to bring ourselves from these shackles, to begin to dig ourselves from this dungeon, to begin to bring ourselves from the graves. From the grave, because like you would say, there's so much talents that have been locked up in the grave. And seriously, friends, I wouldn't want to be locked up in the grave before I start doing anything, because at that point, my body, my material being will not in any way be of value to our time. The only time you can be valuable is to a time like this. And for Daniel, though in comfort, Daniel was able to figure out the solution of his people, that you know what, the captivity of Babylon is already come to a point where it's come to an end, where the people of God need their salvation. And Daniel started searching. He discovered it by reading, by studying. Friends, we cannot do without studying. That's just the truth. We cannot do without availing ourselves to the place of study. You need to avail yourself to the place of study. We will need that God will open our eyes. We will need that God would open our insight. God is already speaking in nature. God is already speaking through all that he has created. There's so much mystery that is so hidden, but already have been revealed. If only we would search. And for Daniel, in his comfort, the comfort of political power, the comfort of economic empowerment, with all of this comfort, Daniel could see that it was his purpose to arise for his people. So in what ways can we arise today? In what ways can God help you and I to arise? In what ways can we make this a reality? To say that because you matter. In what ways can we understand that people now matter? And that the people of Nigeria, the people of your context, the people of your village, the people of the city you find yourself, the people wherever they are, that they matter to God. And because they matter to God, that God has deposited this particular skill set in you, the ability to study, the ability to consult with wise men, that we cannot in any way ignore consulting wise people. You and I can consult wise men of our time. You and I can, because the wise men of our time are in different places. They are in the internet, like I said previously. They are in the libraries of your books. They're in the libraries of the library you know. They're in the library. They're in the human factors of your church, the human factors of your community, the society, the elderly, the children around. God has scattered abroad wise people, and they're there for you and I. They are there that would not to abuse, that we would consult with them, that we would relate with them, that we would connect with them. There must be a connection with the human resources that God has provided for us to expand your skill set, because we need the expansion of our skill set. The Bible tells us Daniel was able to begin to take action because he availed himself to the wisdom of Jeremiah. Jeremiah in his time was not appreciated. Jeremiah in his time, the Bible tells us that he is a crying prophet. You know, Jeremiah was a crying prophet. The book of Lamentation is attributed to Jeremiah, and you see all the cries he poured out. Jeremiah was a prophet who was not recognized in his time. He was a prophet in whose time the kings would not even want to listen, though God was using. Are there people around you that God has blessed with certain skills that you have not recognized? This is a time to begin to recognize them. This is a time to begin to connect with them, to begin to enterprise with them. Because for the solution of Nigeria, for the solution of our time, we will need to connect with such people. We will need that God will open our eyes to connect, that the Lord will open our eyes in which He has already provided. It's just for you to have this hunger. Daniel would say, have this hunger, even though he was with all that he needed. Today, you and I are beginning to hunger and begin to desire salvation because of certain form of deprivation, certain form of suffering, certain form of pain. Daniel had every form of comfort, but would not allow the comfort to blindside him, but open his heart to the prophecy of Jeremiah. So this is my earnest desire that today, that God will open your eyes. See, you matter to God. And already there are solutions out there. God has opened solutions for you and I to connect with. Only if we would consult. You know, for most of us, we came to learning by consulting. Some of us had to pay. You have to pay your way through school. You have to pay your way through certain skill acquisition areas to acquire certain skills. But unless your eyes are open to the plight of your people, you might not you might not have this hunger to begin to consult. So the wisdom for us today is open your eyes to consult with wise people. Open your eyes. Open the eyes that God will open the eyes of your heart to begin to notice wise men, because they are all there. You may have every form of comfort that you would not, because just juxtapose between the wealth of Daniel and the wealth of Jeremiah. Daniel, by all means, was all powerful. Though in the land of captivity, Daniel had all he had. All we would say, all that would make his life comfortable in regards to Jeremiah. But Daniel will have to consult with the writings of Jeremiah. So do not be so full of yourself that you will disregard all the humans that God has brought your way. Human beings are so important to God. And God has distributed resources in every human being that you see, that you should be careful how you relate with the human beings around. Be careful how you relate with the gifts that God has given to us. God has distributed gifts in human beings. And please do not be blind to see this gift. So today for us, to begin to think ways to solve the problems of our time, to begin to think ways to begin to avail ourselves to the solutions of our time, I guess by now you should be open to wisdom. Wisdom wherever it's going to come. But my problem is that in the Nigerian context, rather than opening ourselves to wisdom, we open ourselves to criminals. We open ourselves to things like MMM, to Ponzi schemes. We open ourselves to the get rich syndromes that are so you can see with all of your eyes that they are so tricky, so trickery, sorry, that they are so manipulative, but we will not be careful. But there's wisdom available for us, wisdom that comes from the place of studying. And God will want that you open yourself to this form of wisdom. Please open yourself. Open yourself. Whatever kind of hard work you would be exposed to open yourself to this level, please do, because we need that. We need that in Nigeria right now. We need that. We need that. And we can prevail. Daniel prevailed in captivity. You can prevail in Nigeria. When everything is working as though against you, we can prevail. We can say yes to ourselves to this concept. We can prevail. And may God help us. Like we always will tell you in the replica church, God, by the grace of God, has opportuned you with different people in the different fields of life that are beginning to open up in the replica church. Please consult with anyone. Consult with anyone. Maybe you would find wisdom for a time as this. You can inbox us, and by the grace of God, we get to you. God bless you for staying back to watch. God bless you for watching us today during this broadcast. We'll meet again on Friday as Justus would come up and pour out some of the wisdom that God has got for a time like this. God bless you.